Thank you for tuning in to Serendipity with Sheila, the podcast that helps you align your mission with your passion. As a universal master energy healer, Sheila can help you awaken and align with your true self so you can live the purposeful life you were made for. Let's get started.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Serendipity with Sheila. And my name is Sheila, and I am Reverend Sheila B. Tillich. And today we have an awesome guest today, Thomas Iwankow. Thomas is an amazing soul, and you are absolutely going to love Thomas. So I'm going to read his bio a little bit so you know a little bit about Thomas. So Dr. Thomas was born and raised outside of Buffalo, New York. He was raised as a practicing Catholic and the oldest of 5 brothers. After marrying and raising his now 4 kids, he continued his doctoral studies in leadership. It was then that he began wondering about the universe, and particularly this idea of God. In 2019, Dr. Thomas really began discovering more about himself and the universe. Recently, Dr. Thomas D. Iwankow has been researching and exploring this idea of life. Who are we? Where do we come from? And how does the idea of God fit into our purpose and path? He is a healer, trained in Reiki, but often is flowing in the way he is moving. He began speaking light language in 2021 and continues to research and teach on this idea of life and purpose. Thomas, you are amazing, and I welcome you. Welcome to Serendipity with Sheila.
Well, thank you. I'm delighted to be here and honored too. It's just, I don't know, it's fun. I think it's all fun, which is good.
It is fun. It's like, and I love, how so many of us are on this path of awakening. And you are just shining so brightly. And, I love to use the words magnificently brightly shining, And so tell us a little bit about yourself. Where did this kind of begin your awakening? You just say in 2019. So you want to let's start there, so my readers can get an idea of who Thomas is.
I love what you said there, though. Right before that, so many of us are awakening, and it's there are so even more so of us have begun the awakening without even knowing it. You talk with so many people and you can say things to people, and I'll use myself as an example, just what I've learned, what I've grown, the things I've seen. I'll share a story here and there, and instead of getting the response that I would automatically think of we must be crazy or this is whatever, you get, I know, I believe, I understand. We even spoke to someone yesterday, and this was great. So Sheila was talking about some of her products she has going on, and we were at the store, and 2 younger girls came up to talk about it, and they themselves were said to themselves, we need to learn more, we need to get more involved, but we don't know where to go. And so then it just so happened they found Sheila and found Joanna, and I was in the store, so they called me over to talk to them too.
Yes, I did.
but here's where I'm getting with this. The one girl, Emily, gave the story of years ago. She had a coin. It was an old rare coin. It was her grandfather's coin. Her dad had it, then she got it. And then one day she dropped it into this carpet, and it was gone and missing. And she couldn't find it. And eventually when she found it, it happened to go underneath the garbage can. No way in the world this could possibly happen. No way.
Yep.
And she actually asked us then to give an interpretation. She had never talked to anyone about this. Maybe 1 or 2 people have heard that story. And I don't even think Sheila knows what I said, because she was then talking, and I pulled Emily aside. And I go, this is nothing more than just for you to know that this is real, that there's more to everything around you, and that there are things there. When you are ready to start exploring and learning yourself, it's there. But you have to be at the right mind frame and the right time. So the story happened to you years ago, but you remembered it for a reason. You remembered it because at one point in your life, this is going to be a catalyst for you to take those next steps, like she did yesterday, to want to learn more, understand more. And that's just that proof that she needed. But she kept it behind her. She kept it hidden in her backpack. And that's what so many of us do. We keep this hidden for fear of ridicule, for fear of ostracization, for not being believed or being just shunned. But the opposite is so true. Because so many people are already on that state. I mean, the idea of reincarnation, or not that, the idea of afterlife. Yeah. I mean, you're talking about 80+% to 90% of people believe in that. Yes. They believe in some sort of reincarnation. They believe in this. But we've been taught for years that there's a way of living and a way of doing things by the powers that be. And so we keep all that inside of ourselves in order to not be seen different. But I've had so many conversations with people on the street in different random just meetings, where all of a sudden we start talking about what we're going to talk about today. And they're like, yes, I know. And they give me their own story. We all have these instances, these things that have happened to our life to say, hey, there's more to this life than what you are being told and taught.
Right.
Just remember this instance. Remember that coin that magically got underneath the garbage can. Yeah. Remember the feeling you had here or there. There's things that are happening. And you need to, when you're ready, we're here to help you.
That's right.
And for me, what I found also with a lot of people I've met, there's often a traumatic event that has to happen. It has to like knock you down for a second. Those moments where you're sitting on the kitchen floor saying, why, God, why is this happening? Now the question is, and should be, why is this happening? What do I need to learn from this? But you don't know that yet. We don't know that yet, okay? We always say, why is this happening?
Exactly.
But what do I need from this? But like for myself, I'll speak freely. A lot of this really, that big boom was when my now ex-wife said to me, the marriage is over. And then I saw things starting to fall apart in my life, from my job to the family to where I'm living. All these things are falling apart. And I started noticing some patterns. And I myself, when I began my doctoral studies for the second time, I started thinking differently. When you get trained in something like that, you are often told you've got to remove yourself from the situation and become the observer. You have to then start thinking in different logical ways. So at that point, I started saying, okay, I'm Catholic. I've been raised Catholic. What does this mean? Where does this all fit in to what I'm trying to do? I mean, where's the proof? Show me. Where is the proof? Okay. Now, so many people have to just go out there and just believe. I'm saying, show me the proof to this.
I know.
and so I start this, and that's in like 2010, 2011, 12, around then. Flash forward 2016, 17 timeframe. I'm going through the trauma that we have to go to. Now I'm like, all right. I started going to non-denominational churches, other type of churches, and you could feel the spirit there. I mean, you really could. I remember these churches, the music playing, everyone just going crazy, like fun, and the energy there was phenomenal. So you knew spirit was there, but I still was missing something. I was missing something in my path. Yeah. And then I started like the law of attraction. So, my ex said, why don't you read this? So I started reading that, and over and over and over again, like 3 or 4 books, and it made sense. And I started going to what they call workshops, which is what many people call meditation, but they're a focus workshop where you just go on and you take 10 minutes and you focus on 1 or 2 or maybe 3 things if you really can think. You just repeat those things you want. You're sending out to the universe. You repeat them. You say, I want this. Most people say, want a relationship, want money, and want a job. Those are the most common things people say, and anything they ever ask for. Yep. Those 3 things, okay?
Yeah.
So, 3, what do you think my 3 were at that point? And then I started looking into other books. And one of the craziest things I say is to myself, I was doing my work, I was traveling. And so listen to books on tape, okay?
Yeah.
As I put air quotes there.
Exactly.
And I remember just one day I was just trying to find a book, and this book popped up. Hey, maybe like Proof of Heaven. I'm like,
Dr. Evan Alexander. Yeah.
hold on. I'm like, you know what? No, I'm not. I'm still not at this point of heaven yet. Okay. I know this stuff, but I don't know. All right, hold on. So I did another book, and then maybe 3-4 months later, it popped back up. I'm like, you know what? Okay. It popped up once. I let it go. It popped up twice. Let me just take a look at that.
That's
and
right.
So then I listened to that book. Now, there are slow parts.
Mm-hmm.
And there are exciting parts. There are times I just want to skip through, and he has nice quotes in between the chapters.
Mm-hmm.
But as he really gets into it and you start putting the book together, you start seeing, the patterns. And for him, he's a neuroscientist. So an MD, researcher, does all this stuff. Now he's putting it out there, and he was doing it in a way that I could relate to very well. Give me the science, show me the proof.
Right. And that is Dr. Eben Alexander, by the way, for my readers to know. Dr. Eben Alexander, which I know him, and he's awesome, by the way. That's good.
So I got that. And then he, in his scientific proof behind it was like, ooh, okay, now we have a neuroscientist proving what happened to him. Mm-hmm. There's no physical way to prove this. And what he came back with, what I quote these a lot, were 3 rules. He goes, if there's anything you need to know from my conversation I had with I'm going to put air quotes, we call God, but the source that he was speaking with in some of his visions there, where one, love is the most powerful energy around. That's there. Think about the universe is made up of 95% energy. Go outside, look at the sky, look at where you are. Around you is energy. Exactly. The earth is 95% energy. You see the physical stuff, you don't see the energy.
Exactly.
Okay. And then there's nothing to fear. And I always preface it this way to help people understand it. In the eyes of God, there's nothing you can do wrong. Human to human, we don't have that perception. We always will feel people can do things wrong. But in the eyes of God, in the eyes of the higher self, and in the eyes of the source, you can do nothing wrong.
Absolutely.
And so those 3 things really started hitting me. And at the same point, I was going through a journey and getting help from someone. And it led me to going to a Reiki session. Now, mind you, I've gone to Reiki sessions before, prior to this, and I felt like it was like a light massage, touching the arm here, touching the arms there, whatever. I'm like, okay, I'll try it again. Mm-hmm. And it was at that moment that everything changed. What I saw, what the Reiki master explained, without getting into details, was something neither of us had experienced at that level before. And when it happened, it was a clear knowing of something more in this world. But I was still a novice at the beginning. And the next day, and the next days, I felt so much peace and love, to a point where, talking about, just how serendipity, let's talk about serendipity for a second. Literally, I had this thing removed from me. This entity was removed from me that had been with me for 30 years. Okay. And actually, what I say is actually, it was hundreds of thousands of years. Every time I come back, it would find me. Mm-hmm. Another story. Not going to go into that.
Exactly. We can do a podcast on that, by the way.
We can do a podcast on, oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh. Wouldn't that be amazing? We're going to set that up.
All right, good. See, the light language just comes out. Okay.
I love it.
Okay. So just to share, so this comes out. I'm feeling this great peace and love and all this, whatever. A few weeks later, I had 3 things I needed. I wanted a new job. Mm-hmm. I needed a car. My car lease was up, and I literally had dropped my car off, so I had no car. And I just started. I had just released some. My ex and I, we were still living together at the time, and I literally had just said to her and the guy she was like seeing that, hey, I'm giving you my blessing. You're still married. I give you my blessing. Be happy. Mm-hmm. I do this session. I get this freedom. Yep. And so it's Thanksgiving weekend, and I'm in Buffalo. I'm searching for a car. And my credit score, because everything had gone through, I lost some jobs now, was like 500. All right.
Wow.
That's like below poor. Okay.
Yeah.
So I had people lined up to be co-signers for me because I knew I wasn't going to get it by myself. I'm waiting in the lobby. They have all my information. I got the car. I know the car I want. They're running the numbers. And the guy comes back to me. Okay, you've been approved. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, yeah, you're all set. I'm like, by myself? He goes, yes, we got you. Your score's a little low, but we were able to convince them to give it to you and go forward.
All
so
right.
I get that. Okay. I had to wait a couple of days to go back and get the car, but that weekend, the next day, I'm on one of those dating sites. I'm like, what the heck? I'm out there now. And I'm swiping left and right. And I'm like, I know this person. This is crazy. I know this person. Let me just swipe right for the fun of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I actually messaged her on Facebook Messenger. And she got back to me the next day. And mind you, let me take this back. This person lived in Buffalo. I was in Rochester. My radius didn't go that far. That person should not have shown up on this site.
Mm-hmm.
She still did, though. So I swiped right. I messaged her the next day. She started talking to me. And we spent like hours talking, just going back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Now that Tuesday comes and I go to the dealership. As I'm at the dealership, I get an email. I'm waiting for everything to be finalized. The email literally says, hey, Tom, this is Mike. Call me when you get a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who, Mike? So I look back at the email and I scroll down. It says the person's name. His title is president of this college. And I'm like, wait a minute. I've worked in college my whole life. This was like what I thought was my dream job. I'm like, seriously? As I reply back, like, how about I'm like, get this, Mike, I'm 5 minutes away from you. I'm in town buying a car 5 minutes from your deal. I'm in jeans and a hoodie or jeans and a sweater. Do you mind if I come in? He goes, come on in and let's talk.
That's right.
So think about this. And in one weekend, after I cleansed myself and gone all of it, things that should not have happened. One, there's no way in the world I should have been approved for a car by my own, a brand new freaking car. Two, this person who ended up, not going into detail, ended up being a very close soulmate. She's the one that actually opened me up fully. Like it was when I was talking with her is when I actually, the first time ever I saw like our souls and higher selves, and it got me, oh my goodness, this is really happening here. This is my first real experience. And then that job that came forth, which shouldn't have come forth. Now things happened since there. Then was I ready for all this stuff? Absolutely not. Let me be clear with that.
Yeah.
Now the getting on the right path, yes. Fine, having the car, I needed the car. Can I make the payments? Yeah, all that stuff. Was I ready for all that to happen? No. I had more to do in my journey, but none of that should have happened. But it was because of where I was at. Because what happened, what I did is I put out to the universe a different energy signature. It had switched. And now what I wanted was coming out. So what that was for me, I mean, I'm not with that person anymore. I didn't get that job. I still have the car because I had the car. But what it meant for me was, hey, here's your first proof.
Right, exactly.
Here's what you need to know that what you're doing is absolutely right.
Here's your sign to register and save your seat for the next Lightworkers Connection Circle. The Lightworkers Connection Circle is about living your soul's purpose as a lightworker and connecting with others who are on the same spiritual path. It is a sacred and safe harbor group of lightworkers who are connecting, encouraging, empowering, and supporting human kindness together. The Lightworkers Connection Circle is led by Universal Master Healer Sheila Tillich and takes place on the first and third Tuesdays of every month. To save your seat, head on over to sheilatillich.com/lightworkers-connection-circle. You can also find the link to register in the show notes of this episode. Now back to you, Sheila.
Now, mind you, I needed more proof. I did. And so 6 months later, I get my first crystals. I got an amethyst. I got a selenite wand because I had lost mine, and I had gotten lapis, small little one that got at a crystal shop. And that night I went to Niagara Falls with the water. I'm a water person. I'm water sign, all that stuff. And I was sitting there just writing and journaling, and a song came in my head that had been playing, and all of a sudden I got the true meaning behind it. I'm like, great. But that night is when I got the ultimate proof for myself that what I was doing, what I knew was real. I had known for a few months. Now, that person and I had already broken up. Long story behind that, but like there was other energies around me, so I had to release them. But I had known that we were supposed to have a child. In the path we were on, and I was given the child's name. Now, I didn't want to tell her that or anyone. And I debated that, okay? But I'm like, am I right? Am I really right with this thought and this name that it came to me and all this stuff? Am I really? Because literally the name was like the second word I ever heard from Spirit was that name. And I finally put it together. I'm like, okay. And so I woke up that night in the morning, tried to meditate and failed terribly. So later, an hour later, I said, no, try it again. And I'm meditating. It was the first time I actually saw my guides in front of me. And I was fully conscious, but I could hear them. I could see them. And the one was like at a bar with bank like bins behind it and said, box 42. I'm like, okay. And the second one was a gentleman. Yes, he's around me a lot.
Yeah.
He's the one that's gonna, yes, I know it's you.
Yeah.
He literally was sitting there in a chair with TV screens behind him watching sports. It was almost like he was delaying whatever he had to delay. I get you're delaying it till now. All right. So, and he's in like a Tommy Bahama shirt, like the one you see like Magnum PI wear, something like that, with shorts on, just leaning back, all comfortable. And he just looks at me and he says, live for people. And I see some other things, like I feel like it was Jupiter, and I see some other things, rainbows coming out. And I don't know what, I'm not going to go into whatever happened, but I'm like, all of a sudden it hits me. Box 42. She means card 42. That night before, when I bought those 3 crystals, I happened to buy my first deck of Oracle cards. Now, I knew Oracle cards had 44 cards. Okay, so I knew they had 44. I didn't know if they were numbered, though. I had not opened them. So I have no idea what I'm doing. I took the selenite wand, I put it over the box. I'm like, whatever, give me energy, whatever. Okay, I had no idea what I was doing. And then I unwrapped the box. I open it up and there's an instruction booklet. I see the first card, it's got a 1 on it. I'm like, okay. I open up the deck, take the deck out, go right to card 42. And I'm not going to swear, but I swore.
What was the deck's name and who's the author?
I actually have it right here.
Okay, we got to give credit here. That's
Offset Egyptian by Elizabeth Jensen.
Oh,
illustrated by Marie Clement.
Let me see.
And so
nice.
They were Egyptian cards because I had some visions of Egypt or Lemuria, whatever I want to call it, earlier. I look at card 42 and I say the F word. See, I'm being nice here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't. It was the pregnancy card.
Ah.
And all it did was validate exactly what I needed to know. And so I knew, once again, the evidence proof I needed. Now, I've told this story before with people that were like skeptical. And I actually had the deck with me. I told them that like 3 months later, I was telling that story and I had the deck and I was going to do card reading for them as I'm telling the story. And I go, and then guess what card came up was card 42. And I happened to just randomly pull a card from the deck. I looked at it, I'm like, F again. And I threw it at them. And he goes, what was a card? And I'm like, it's that card right there. It was card 42, the pregnancy card.
Right.
Which said to me, yes, that was a path you were on. You're not on. Now, that means a lot. And here's the thing that we need to take from this. We are given signs like Emily who got the coin. Mm-hmm. Like me with a couple of things I've already said. we're given signs. It doesn't mean we know what it means at that moment.
Mhm.
And it doesn't mean it's absolutely perfect at that moment. All it means is you're given that sign, you're going to remember it for when the time is right.
Exactly.
But if you can't be given everything at once, you got to give it in the right pace. And so I went through the rest of the year. I met probably my best friend. Yeah, and Station, we talked to this day. I met her that summer. We connected, and we had this amazing energy exchange between the two of us. And we started to go our own ways at one point in December of that year, and we had to. It wasn't the time for us, and immediately she took off, and amazing things were happening to her, and I started getting these dreams and visions, and I started getting these repeat dreams. I started getting this week too again, these repeat dreams, and all of a sudden I'm in a repeat dream. I'm in like these tall buildings. It could be like New York City, but they're really tall buildings, and 3 doctors around me, and so they're standing around me, and all of a sudden they're like discussing, and it's almost like they put me out into a trance. And I literally went, stomach first onto the coffee table. And I'm laying there. I could hear everything they're saying though. And what they said to me was they're fighting over who is my creator, over who am I a doctor of? Like who's my doctor? They're fighting over that. Okay. Like I want to know. We're saying what to do with me. And the name that comes is Sheila Tillich is her creator. Okay. It's this creator. So I'm like, okay. So I wake up and Sheila, your name comes to my mind. I'm like, okay, who is this Sheila? Okay. And so I look you up on Facebook and I see we had a friend in common. We might have 2 in common at that point. And one happened to be my Reiki, who I've been going to religiously. And so I go to Carrie, who's my Reiki. And I
share with the audience what Reiki is. Most people probably know that, but just real quickly.
So Reiki is just a form of aligning the chakras with the energy.
Okay.
And just restoring and rebalancing the chakras and the energy that comes out with that. And you just removing your hands and the energy around those specific areas. Now that I say it out loud, I really diverged from that. Okay.
Well, there's so much more that we know.
There is so much more.
There's so much more, but a lot of people, they've heard the word Reiki, and probably the ones that are going to be listening to us know what Reiki is, but there might be some people that don't know. Just like what you said, just open it up and let the universe share, and who's supposed to hear is supposed to hear. And it's like, hey, I can relate to that. And they say, oh, that's what Reiki is. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Who is supposed to hear will hear it. And the same thing with Reiki or any type of healing.
Exactly. Right.
It's never the same. It's never what one person experience can be experience. It's always what you need at that moment.
Time.
And if you're someone that is not fully believing or aware, you're not going to feel as much because you're not open to it yet. You've got to open it up and then be ready for it. Anyways, so I talked to my Reiki and she goes, my sister actually worked with Sheila. And so says good things about you. I'm like, okay. So I remember it was like December 22nd, December 23rd. All right. And I found you. We weren't friends on Facebook. And I go, so.
And I got that big text from you. It's like,
I just got to say this. I had a dream and they said, you're my creator. We might need to talk at some point. I mean, the random thing. It's like, what is this? And so you're like, yeah, we do. And we did. And the neat thing about this, as I tell people, and you're here, so you were there. But as you were talking and explaining things, I wasn't giving you the information. I was trying not to lead anything. And as Sheila was talking, she was talking about law of attraction. She was putting she was talking, almost giving me a timeline. What I've been wanting was how the heck is law of attraction, Eben Alexander, Dr. Joseph Spenda, how are this stuff all putting together? Okay. I know all this stuff. How does it fit and where does it go in? She goes, and she started talking about law of attraction. Then from there, you take a step up and you've got like here and this and this. And then she goes, you need to start listening to Lee Carroll, who's Cryon, and Greg Braden and Bruce Lipton and blah, 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 all this other stuff.
The scientists guys, because that's what attracted me was I needed proof, because I come from the nursing background and I wanted proof. And it's like very skeptical. And it's like, but once we get the proof, it's like, holy cow, this is it. Okay.
Right. And
I'll
so
continue to keep
right
going.
there, you literally took all this mumbo of jumbo I had in my brain that was trying to put together and put it into what makes sense. And I still delayed. I'm not going to go into all that. So I listened to Cryon's first books, which is Lee Carroll, who channels Cryon, who, to me, I know we talk about, we're in the new energy and talking about the newer books. To me, learning those first three books were incredible because it gave me the answers I was looking for to start everything. What I tell people now, and I shared this the other week when I was talking on a live, is oftentimes our journey is never a linear line. Our journey is a continuous, non-ending climb. And what we need to do is take the information we get, and as we get more and we slowly get more, it all starts filling in together. But it's got to be done in a way that we ourselves are ready to understand it. A lot of times people try to jump in and listen, they said this about me many times, and they were right to a point. I'm not going to say no to that. They were right. Okay. I would jump ahead and I would skip some steps. So admit I was missing some things, and I'd be pushed back down. All right, you need to relearn this again. But a lot of times it's about getting the information you need at the right moment to understand how everything comes together. Is you got to collect that information, keep it with you, sort of like the coin under the basket, sort of like just me with the card pull where I had the pregnancy one. Even that person's purpose in my life. It was 2 years. It took 2 years for the revelation to come forth on why the person came to my life and how we are now completely on different paths for me to easily say to let it go. But it had to come at the right moment for me to know that, to symbolize that I got what I needed and I can move forward in a new way and open new doors.
Exactly.
We need to go through that and understand that we're always growing and learning. There's always new things in front of us. And as we open ourselves up to it and put out those new signatures, we're going to see them come forth.
Exactly.
We're going to see the new things, and the things we've been wanting and hoping for and putting out there will come. Oftentimes, and we live in a society that has normalized the idea of no, has normalized the idea of disappointment, normalized the idea of you can't get everything you want. And on top of that, if we've said no to that, if you've gotten past the point that everything's a no, we've also normalized the idea of you got to expect for very specific and certain outcomes, which is the same as no. When you open that door, we have so much ability to control our fate, but in a broad view, to that which is for our best and greatest good within our free choice is put out there with it. And so if we are able to climb that mountain, take the information we want and learn as we grow, knowing we're always learning forward, but don't have the expectation of, well, I only will succeed if I get this exact thing. So I'll use channeling. Channeling. All right. My first instance of what channeling is thinking, and I'll go back to Esther Hicks about this. When Abraham comes in, Esther Hicks does law of attraction, and she channels the entity known as Abraham. Now, Abraham has been described here as multiple different galactic spiritual beings that come through and speak. Now, my thought with that is if someone's channeling, the body itself, the human person, it steps aside, and you almost like you feel, oh, I'm stepping aside to the corner, and the entity of the group comes in and speaks. And with her, you can hear it differently in the recordings, especially early on. Her voice completely changes. It's come normal as she's gone on, her voice gotten different. And so then I listened to Lee Carroll, and he said in the beginning, it's almost like the body go, stepping aside. So I'm like, okay, if I'm channeling, if I can channel, what am I waiting for? Like, what do I have to do to step aside for whoever's going to be channeling? No, I don't. I said that. Yeah. But when I channel now, all I have to do is close my eyes.
That's right.
I don't leave. I don't go anywhere. I don't plan what I'm going to say. Yet it comes out in a way that is just right.
Exactly.
And I've done it many times in different ways. I'm going to open my eyes now. See, my eyes were just closed right there. I'm opening my eyes now because it really, when I close now the science behind it. Oh my God. I can talk about anything forever.
Wait, well, you know what? We're gonna continue this conversation.
Yeah, we're going to have to. We didn't get into serendipity yet.
Well, you know what, Thomas? This is fascinating stuff. And, I love to talk about all this stuff because, it's me and it's you and it's how we all are connected. And this is about serendipity, but it is all part of our serendipity, how we got here. So I would like to invite you to come back and let's continue this conversation. Let's continue this conversation. All right.
Definitely, we should.
Yeah. So you are an amazing guest, and I absolutely love you. And I love you as a son and as a brother. And you know how that goes. We all been connected in many, many lifetimes. And so, if anybody, I'd like to give my readers some information about you. If anybody needs to get a hold of you, how can they get a hold of you?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, okay. We'll take it from there. We'll take it from there.
I haven't.
You haven't put it out there yet.
I haven't put anything out there yet. I've spent a year doing lives in a one group, which I had to leave. I now do some talks once a week. But I'll send some information to you.
Yeah, we're gonna put that out there. But for you listeners out there, you can always reach Thomas through me, and I can connect you up with Thomas if you need to. So this has been an amazing, amazing time together, Thomas, and we're going to continue this conversation.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you, Thomas, for coming, and you are a delight, and I am so happy that you're in my life, and everybody else too. We are all one. We're all connected. And we're all here serendipitously to be together, moving forward in our life as we awaken. So thank you so much for joining me on this beautiful podcast with Dr. Thomas Iwankow. Thank you, Thomas.